Do you want to get a roommate? Hello, it's Storytime English channel, and this is my English lesson for you. And today, I want to help you think about whether or not you want to live with a roommate. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. And then I'll ask you some questions so you can think about it too. I used to live with a roommate. I lived with her for 3 years, and it was an amazing experience. But there were some challenges. There were some good things, and there were some bad things. So I want to talk about both in this lesson. Let's start with the benefits, the advantages of having a roommate. And the first benefit is that you can share the cost of rent. You know, when you rent an apartment, the landlord doesn't really care if you pay for the apartment by yourself, or if you have a friend that splits the bill with you. Either way, you still have to pay the same amount of money. So why not split it with a friend and make it easier on yourself? And this is the biggest reason that students get roommates. They don't have jobs yet, so they don't have a lot of money, but they still need a place to live. So it makes sense to share the cost with somebody. Utilities are things like water, gas, electricity, and internet. Again, you can share these costs with a roommate. And another great thing about having a roommate is you can share the space. Sometimes you can get a bigger apartment if you have a roommate. This means you can have a separate bedroom, maybe a bigger living room, and sometimes you can even have a yard or a balcony or a patio. So it's nice to have more space. And the best thing about having a roommate is you're never truly alone. Always have someone to talk to, someone to play games with, or someone to watch TV with. My roommate and I always had someone to eat lunch with at work. And when we came home from work, we always had someone to talk to about our day. Now, let's talk about the disadvantages of having a roommate. The first disadvantage is you have to be careful about who you choose as a roommate, because they're going to be living in your home, and you want to make sure you pick a trustworthy person. You know, I've heard stories about roommates who steal things from each other. And I've even heard about roommates who invite their friends to stay in the apartment, and they do until the other roommate. So, that's kind of rude, right? Your roommate is already living in your space. Why would you want to invite someone else into your shared space without asking your roommate first? So you want to make sure you get along with your roommate and you can trust them. The next disadvantage of having a roommate is noise. Your roommate might like to listen to loud music, or they might like to come home late and watch TV with the volume up, and you might want to sleep at that time. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different lifestyle, and you just have to be respectful of your roommate's needs, and you have to be respectful of your own needs. So this can be a challenge, but I think you can overcome it through communication. Just tell your roommate, "Hey, I'm going to bed. Can you please turn down the volume?" Or you could use headphones when you're listening to music, so it doesn't bother your roommate. Another challenge of having a roommate is cleanliness, right? Some people like to clean all the time. Other people don't like to clean very much. So, how can you solve this problem? Well, I think creating a schedule is a good idea. My roommate and we created a schedule. We decided who was going to clean what and when. For example, I was responsible for cleaning the bathroom every Tuesday, and she was responsible for cleaning the kitchen on Wednesday. So this way, we made sure that everything got cleaned. And it wasn't always perfect, but this is just life, right? Things aren't always perfect. Sometimes she forgot to clean the bathroom on Tuesday, but we talked about it and we reminded each other. And usually, we respected each other's schedule. So it's good to create a plan and then communicate about the plan. Another challenge of having a roommate is setting boundaries. You know, one time my roommate brought home a guy and she started flirting with him in the living room. And I was sitting there studying and I was like, this is a little awkward. So it's good to create some rules about bringing guests over to the apartment. Also, sometimes you might want to have some quiet time, but your roommate wants to have a party. Again, you just have to communicate. You have to talk to each other. Talk to your roommate about your needs. Make sure you're respecting their needs and they're respecting yours. One last challenge, and I think this is the most important challenge, is communicating with your roommate. This is the most important skill you need if you're going to have a roommate. You have to be able to sit down and have difficult conversations with them, but you have to do it respectfully. You can't be angry. You can't yell at your roommate, but you have to be able to say, "Hey, this is what I need. This is what I don't like. This is something that bothers me." And again, they have to do the same with you. And sometimes it's difficult for people to do this. Some people feel guilty talking to their roommate about negative things. They don't want to argue. They don't want to hurt their roommate's feelings. But it's important to remember that if you're living with someone, if you're sharing a space with someone, you have to be able to communicate. You can't just pretend that everything is perfect. You have to talk about the problems and try to solve them together. So let me ask you some questions. Do you have a roommate now? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And if you don't have a roommate, would you like to have a roommate? What would be the most challenging part for you? Leave your answers in the comments below. Okay, before we go, I want to thank all my supporters. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. Okay, before we go, I want to give you a challenge. Okay, I want you to subscribe to this channel. Okay, it's free. Click the button and subscribe. Also, I want you to click the notification bell so you can get notified when I upload new videos. And finally, I want you to go to my website. You can download some free lessons and you can learn all about my online English courses. There's links below. Okay. Thanks for watching. Bye.